activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
Welcome back, everyone. 33 after the hour here at Rolla J Studios, and we are joined in the studio by a very special guest. It's his first live interview since filing for legalization in 2014 here in the state of Oregon. We have Anthony Johnson from New Approach Oregon joining us. Hi, Anthony. How you doing?
Hey, doing good, Russ. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So you just filed for legalization in 2014. And there's already two initiatives that have been filed, I-21 and 22, the OCTA and the constitutional amendment. So why file a third initiative?
We filed an initiative based upon, concerns from activists across the state, national funders, governor's office, politicians, even taking some concerns of retired law enforcement to really put together a measure that we believe has the best chance of winning at the ballot box in 2014.
What are some of those concerns that you feel that New Approach Oregon is addressing that maybe the other initiatives aren't?
One is keeping cannabis out of the hands of young people. We regulate marijuana much similar to alcohol and beer and wine. And so with the OLCC in charge of the regulatory body, it will do a good job of keeping marijuana out of the hands of minors under the age of 21. Extensive limits for home gardens have concerned a lot of people. So while we do maintain home gardens, it's 4 plants in 8 ounces. And also making sure that the revenue goes in the right place. So our measure funds education, public safety, and substance abuse and mental health programs.
All right. So you mentioned 4 plants and 8 ounces, which would be quite different than what the medical program is, which is 24 plants, 24 ounces. And then the Initiative 21 is also trying to mimic the medical program. Why have a lower limit for recreational users than exists for medical?
Really, the best answer for you, Russ, is the best chance to win at the ballot box. Too many kind of ordinary voters, 1.5 pounds sounds like a lot. And frankly, 8 ounces sounds like a lot to a lot of voters. And this is just something that would be much more palatable to the middle road kind of soccer mom voter that we really need to get to win this election.
Okay, so we're trying to get this on the ballot for 2014. And I understand that one of the interesting angles on this is trying to get it to the ballot without having to do a signature campaign. Explain how that would work and what the chances we have for this referral process.
So we sent the initiative text on to friendly legislators who have a special short session in February. And our hopes are that the legislature takes the lead on this issue and votes to refer the measure to voters or something similar. We're open to a few compromises, but we have a few things that we are dead set upon. Like we do want to maintain home gardens. We do not want any per se DUI. We want the medical marijuana program protected. But other than that, we're open to compromise. And if the legislature wants to refer something to the voters, we're happy to help and happy to see them lead. If they choose not to lead on the issue or want to refer something that's totally unacceptable to us, then we're prepared and have the resources to do a signature drive to get on the ballot.
All right. So refer it, send it to the legislature. The hope is that they then just pass it straight to the voters. Could they just enact it themselves?
They could enact it themselves, but since it institutes a new tax, it would take 2/3 of the legislature.
Okay.
So getting a simple majority for a referral is a tough task. Peter Buckley has said it's about a 50-50 shot to get the legislature to refer it to the voters. Getting 2/3 to pass it is pretty nil, in my opinion, and I would say 50-50 shot is probably the best, most optimistic odds you'll have anybody say of our chances.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the DUID thing that recently the Oregonian, the state's largest newspaper, opined that there should be some sort of limit, that we've got, legalization coming, and Washington included it in their legalization proposal. Colorado did not, but legislators hammered away at it like 6 times until it finally got passed, this odious 5 nanogram stuff. How do you plan on fighting what seems to be a rising political tide for some sort of magic number DUID in Oregon?
Yeah, we call upon the OLCC to examine existing research and studies, and if necessary to do more studies and come back in 2017 and refer recommendations to the legislature. We're confident that once the science and research and studies are all out there, legislators, policymakers will realize that the 5 nanogram limit, there's no scientific basis for that. And so we'll put as many resources as it takes to make sure that that arbitrary, unfair limit is not imposed for DUIs.
So would you continue forward with the campaign if the only choice was to make it I-502 like, to include a DUID and kill home grow?
New Approach Oregon will not move forward with a measure that kills home grows or allows for per se DUIs.
All right. Another interesting angle on this, the 4 plants that would be allowed. In the medical law, it's 18 seedlings that are under 12 inches and then 6 plants that are mature. Is there any such breakdown with the 4 plants?
You get 4 plants. You can be any size. You can do 2 seedlings, 2 mature. However you want to do it, but you can have 4 plants of any size.
Okay. And with 4 plants, 8 ounces, that sounds like harvesting 2 ounces per plant. But if the plants can be any size, people might harvest a whole lot more than that. What then?
Yeah, you're going to have to control your the harvest if you want to stay within compliance. It's really written as a way for somebody to have a 2-plant garden, 2-plant veg garden, 2-plant flower garden, and maintain your harvest that way. If you're going to produce more, then you ought to get a commercial license. A commercial producer license under our measure will cost $1,000, but you're not actually obligated to sell, but with the commercial license, you could possess and produce more. Also, you can still stick with your the medical program if you're a medical patient and have those extra limits as well. Also, unlike Colorado and Washington, under our measure, when you go over your limit, you're not stuck with a harsh felony. Under our measure, at 8 ounces, it's totally legal. If you have a big harvest and you get 9 ounces, 10 ounces, if you happen to get convicted for that, it's just a civil infraction. The same thing as being under an ounce a day. So we have tiers, and even if you have more than a pound to 2 pounds, it's just a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. So we don't kick in these harsh limits if people do have big harvests and they happen to encounter law enforcement after a big harvest they weren't expecting.
Now, I've been told that this 4-plant limit was 4 plants per address. Is that true?
4 plants per household, correct.
Okay, so that brings, some criticism from folks that'll say, well, gosh, I live with 3 other roommates. We could only have a plant each.
Yeah, it's only 4 plants per household. But once again, you can still get a commercial license if you'd like to produce commercially and go above and beyond those limits, and it doesn't impact the medical program either.
On those commercial licenses, we found in some other states, Massachusetts, where they're requiring like $500,000 in escrow and $30,000 non-refundable fees. What would your fee structure look like if someone wanted to go commercial?
Yeah, we have a $1,000 fee per license.
That's it.
And that's it. It's low entry. We want as much competition. We want Oregon cannabis industry to be regulated much like our microbreweries and wine industry, and to flourish like that. So it's a low fee, $1,000 fee. You'll go through the same application process and background checks that microbrewers and wineries go through. So not completely strenuous or hard on to get application. And you can vertically integrate, so you can be your own producer, processor, and retailer as well, and have multiple licenses yourself.
Wow. All right. So how about taxation at the retail level? What would the consumers be looking at?
So we put a tax at the producer level at the first arm's length transaction. So a producer, whenever they sell the cannabis at either to a processor, or if they vertically integrate and they sell to a retailer, it's taxed at $35 per ounce. I actually think the price will go down a little bit as there's more competition, more investment into the marketplace. But for instance, at I think of medical marijuana facilities in Portland, you're seeing ounces at $200, $225. Under this model, with that $35 tax, basically pushed on the consumer. Eventually, you're looking at ounces at $235 an ounce. So you're paying a $35 tax per ounce, which it's a little over $1 per gram, to be able to legally go to a licensed facility, have all the choices. It's tested, regulated, and you're totally legal, and your money is going to social services, education that are services that our state desperately needs.
We're speaking with Anthony Johnson. He's the director of New Approach Oregon, which has filed marijuana legalization for 2014 in Oregon. Of course, concentrates, hash, they've become pretty popular lately. How does the initiative propose to deal with that?
So hash is treated the same as usable marijuana. Concentrates, everybody can possess up to an ounce of concentrates as well. Under this provision, home production of concentrates is not allowed. You have to get a commercial license to produce it. Once again, it doesn't impact medical patients, but home production of concentrates must be done with a commercial license in the recreational market.
All right, now we've got this New Approach Oregon that is filed and trying to get a referral, but if it doesn't, you'll be going out for a signature drive. I-21 and 22 are already filed and will have to be doing a signature drive. Do you worry about the division of volunteers and money and resources if 3 initiatives hit?
In all honesty, if our measure was the kind of shoestring budget campaign that I'm used to working on in the past, Measure 74 in 2010, for example, then I would be worried. There's only so many volunteers, signatures, time, resources to go around. This time around, with national funding from a lot of the major donors who helped fund the Washington and Colorado campaigns, with those kind of resources available, competing or alternate signature drives won't impact it.
Do you think having 3460 pass that regulated our dispensaries and your initiative passing will work well together and maybe avoid what we're seeing in Washington where they're trying to gut the medical program?
I definitely think it'll avoid that. I'm definitely watching what's happening in Washington very closely. I am alarmed, like most activists, about the potential dismantling of the Washington medical program. And from my perspective, the main reason the Washington program is under attack is because the medical marijuana dispensaries are unregulated. Of course, that's the fault of the U.S. attorneys who scared the governor, who vetoed regulations. And then when regulated medical marijuana dispensaries or facilities are legalized for recreational users, the U.S. attorneys quickly say, oh, we won't go after those regulated dispensaries, but you unregulated medical ones, we're going after you. And of course, they're unregulated because the U.S. attorneys threatened the governor with prosecution for state employees. So they set up the whole reason that it's unregulated, and those medical marijuana facilities are now left all alone without any protection. And we definitely avoid that with House Bill 3460 and the Oregon Health Authority's regulatory structure protecting the medical marijuana facilities.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to 2014. We got a big campaign. Check out New Approach Oregon. It's New Approach 2014 on Twitter. You can also find them at New Approach Oregon on Facebook. Anthony Johnson is the lead campaigner and petitioner. And thank you so much, man.
Thanks so much, Russ. Have a good one.
We'll be right back. We got Eric and Brandon Chambers from the Cheech and Chong animated movie coming at you next.
Of the Marijuana Nation.